Welcome back. Now you know anyone can learn product management. Let's talk about soft skills and hard skills you will need to have or you can build to practice. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Soft skills. I'll take them in bits. The first is communication. I addressed this earlier, so let's spend a little more time on it. Communication. One of the paramount things we do as product managers is communicate. And again, I'm not talking about just conversing, but listening, right? Taking time to pay attention to what people are saying and what they are not saying. Someone once said, and I quote, it's good to listen to your customers, it's also good to not listen to your customers. Not because you are ignoring them or because it is conflicted, but because you're paying attention to the fine print, the details that they are not expressing, because even they themselves oftentimes don't really know what they want, but you can hear it in how they complain, you can hear it in how they provide feedback, you can feel it in how they express themselves. That is true communication. It's also important to be able to give information when it is necessary. Part of our job, our day-to-day activity is really communicating across parties. The business says, I want this now. The engineer says, it's going to take a while. You need to be able to translate that information in a way that the engineers understand the importance and how much they might need to work on it, but the business also understand if they really want it to be good, they might have to wait a little, right? Bringing that balance is part of what we do. Managing expectation is part of what we do. That is why communication is a critical skill that every product manager must be able to, utilize excellently. Another, and my favorite, is empathy. You can't build for someone you don't care about. Why? Because you don't care about them. Why would you want to solve their problem? Because someone is going to pay you? Well, except you really care about money enough to care about the person, that might work. But realistically, you need to care, because the assumption many times is the customer is the final stop, or the CEO, the employer, and the business is the final stop, but they are not. There's so many: the marketing group, the sales group, the business development group, the data analysts, the scientists you're working with, the engineers you're working with, the buyers, the investors. All this group of people are people you have to care about. It's a very difficult line in a way, because there are too many people to care about, but that's the job. You need to learn empathy. Empathy is not pity. Empathy is not feeling sad for someone. No, empathy is putting yourself in their shoes, understanding how they understand stuff, feeling how they feel stuff. This is important because that's how you can build true solutions. That's how you can build true products, because you can connect. You can connect to the engineer and you can tell when it is too difficult. You can tell when you need an extra hand. You can tell what you need to do for this engineer to help. There's something called blockers. Blockers are basically situations where something or someone is in the way of getting the job done. Not Oftentimes not intentionally, it just requires someone helping or someone giving another person guide. These blockers happen, and you have to be able to care enough to want to solve people's problems. So the problems that you're solving are not just for the customers, they could be within your team. Empathy is a big deal. Another soft skill I think you would really have heard, or you should have heard and you would need, is leadership. Yes, leadership, not in the sense you may have heard about it. Leadership is often perceived as, being in front of the line, telling people go here, go there. I think that's ruling. I don't think that's leadership. And when people say lead by example, there's a small line there that we can't cross, because we don't often get the actual job done. We need people. So our leadership by example is not in doing stuff, but in understanding how stuff or how things are done. So let's break down leadership a little bit more. Right? True leadership of a product manager is like conducting. One of my leaders in my past job taught us that as product managers, we are really just conductors. Conductors in an orchestra, meaning there are different people playing, and they have so many skill sets. Amazing group of people from the person playing the harp to the person playing the cello to the person playing the violin to the drummer, to the choir that voicing. And your job is to just conduct the entire harmony, bring everyone's tune to harmony. You're not playing anything. You might not even be able to play any of those instruments really, but you know how to organize each sound, conduct it. That's what leadership is for us as product people. We don't command people, we are not in charge of anyone, but we care about the sound, we care about the harmony, and we know who comes next, who comes before, and who was supposed to come in the past, right? That very skill set is what leadership means to product managers. Another one I think you would have heard, and a lot of people talk about, is your ability to strategize thinking. How critical can you think? Now, the assumption with critical thinking is that you must be extremely smart. Being smart is a plus, but you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to practice critical thinking. Sometimes it's asking questions. Yes, critical thinking often doesn't mean you are processing every thought and figuring it out, but you're asking questions. You're asking the right people. How can this be done? They give you an idea and you write it down. Do you know what we should do? They give you an idea and you write it down and you ask for help. Yes, that is part of being strategic. That's part of being critical. Knowing how to ask questions, who to ask the questions, when to ask the questions, and never forget, there are no bad questions. Never, because every time you get an answer that tells you what not to ask, you've learned something. So it's not a bad question in itself, right? So critical thinking is something as a soft skill. Let's dive to the hard skill for a bit, okay? There are several tools I think everyone would want to, talk about when it comes to product management. One of the things we do, apart from communicating, is documenting, right? And popular tools such as Microsoft, in terms of Word, such as PowerPoint, in terms of presentation, comes to play. There are so many of them I want to dive to, and I want to tell you the importance of them. There will also be a practical session where I can show you step by step as to how we use these tools in our day-to-day practice. I'll see you in that class in a bit.